Every morning began with a terrifying shock. As my eyes awakened from the morning drowsiness and I made my way to the bathroom, I experienced something that sent chills down my spine. The bathroom mirror was covered in messages written in steam. Initially, I thought it was just a tasteless prank, but the horrifying reality became increasingly clear. On that morning, I woke up tired and tense, accompanied by a feeling of insecurity. The cold white lights of the bathroom automatically came on as I entered, revealing a steamed-up mirror. Looking into the mirror, I saw a message with terrifying, irregular letters written in the steam. "Death is approaching. You cannot escape." My heart was pounding wildly in my chest and my breath had turned into a wheeze. I tried to wipe the message away with my hand, but it was futile. With each attempt, the steam became denser, and the words reappeared, just as threatening as before. Terrified and troubled, I whispered, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" However, the response came in the form of another message, longer and more detailed than the previous one. "You were in an accident. You survived, but your wife did not. Your future is dark." Tears filled my eyes as I read those words. My wife had died in a car accident a year ago, and there was no way anyone could have known that. My heart was still pounding wildly, and the feeling of insecurity had turned into a nightmare. On that morning, I was struck by a wave of fear and unease like I had never felt before. The bathroom mirror had become a portal to a terrifying realm, and the messages written in steam foretold tragic events. I had no choice. I had to find out more about these messages and what they meant. With each passing day, the mystery seemed to deepen, and the fear of the unknown haunted every moment of my life. After the discovery of the first message in the bathroom mirror, my life took a sinister turn. The messages continued to appear every morning, foretelling tragedies and inexplicable events. I was determined to learn more about this evil force that presented itself to me, and to uncover the mystery behind these warnings. In the first week, I began to keep a detailed journal of each discovered message, noting the date, time, and its content. I conducted exhaustive research into the history of my house and spoke with neighbors to see if there were any local legends or tragic events associated with my residence. However, I found nothing that justified these terrifying apparitions. Over time, I started consulting psychics and experts in paranormal phenomena. Some suggested it might be a premonition. These messages could be an attempt by a spirit to warn me of impending danger. Others speculated that it could be negative energy accumulated within my home, energy trying to communicate with me through the mirror. Yet, no explanation seemed to fit with what I was experiencing. As I desperately searched for answers, the messages in the bathroom mirror grew darker and more threatening. "Death is near. Shadows surround you. One way out." These words haunted me day and night, turning my home into a place of terror. One night, I decided to use technology to investigate further. I installed surveillance cameras in the bathroom to record any strange or unusual events. With my heart pounding, I started the recording and waited to see if anyone or anything would appear in front of the mirror. The following morning, I reviewed the recording and was left speechless. In the recording, the mirrors had steamed up on their own, and the terrifying words had formed on their surfaces without any human intervention. I was truly terrified, realizing that what was happening exceeded any rational explanation. With each discovery, the mystery became even more enigmatic, and fear ruled my life. As the messages in the bathroom mirror continued to multiply and grow increasingly threatening, I was determined to explore everything to the fullest. Despite the fear that enveloped me, I knew I had to uncover the mystery behind these warnings and understand why I was chosen for this terrifying experience. I sought out experts in paranormal phenomena who came to examine the house and the mirror where the messages appeared. With sophisticated equipment and paranormal abilities, they attempted to establish a connection between the messages and their source. However, despite all their efforts, the answers remained elusive. No one could fully explain the phenomenon. As the investigations continued, I discovered clues that suggested the messages could be linked to the house's past. An old document from the local archives revealed that a family had lived in my house a long time ago, a family that had experienced a series of tragedies. Unexpected deaths, inexplicable accidents seemed to have haunted the house. The question that now obsessed me was, were these messages guiding me to the dark history of the house? I decided to delve into the house's past, to uncover details about the family members who had lived there before me. I searched for old documents and interviewed older neighbors, attempting to reconstruct the sinister story of my residence. As the revelations piled up, I began to understand that the life of the family who had lived there in the past had been marked by tragedy and suffering. There were stories of unfortunate accidents, tragic losses, and overwhelming despair. When I gathered enough information, I discovered that there was a strange connection between that family and the terrifying warnings in the bathroom mirror. It seemed that these messengers of death were, in fact, the spirits of those who had suffered tragedies in my house in the past. Trying to warn or share their suffering, these entities remained bound to the residence in which they had lived and had used me as an intermediary. Realizing that I had to confront the past of my house and the spirits that haunted me, I decided to organize a release ceremony. With the help of a medium, I attempted to communicate with these spirits and help them find peace. On the night of the ceremony, I felt a heavy presence in the bathroom, and the mirror steamed up. With trembling hands, I began to speak to these entities, begging them to find their peace and stop haunting me. Eventually, I felt a change in the atmosphere, and the oppressive presence dissipated. The mirror darkened, and when the steam cleared, the frightening words disappeared along with it. Finally, it seemed that I had succeeded in releasing the house from its dark past and the spirits that haunted it. However, I was left with a lingering sense of unease and the memory of the terror I had endured. Had those spirits truly found their peace, or would they return one day? The questions remained unanswered, but the mystery behind the messages in the bathroom mirror seemed to have come to an end, or so I hoped. With the messages in the bathroom mirror finally gone, I felt temporary relief, but also a lingering unease in my soul. I knew that I couldn't easily escape my connection to the dark past of the house. Nevertheless, I hoped that I had provided the spirits with the peace they needed, and that they would no longer haunt me. In the following weeks, I attempted to resume my life as normally as possible. I woke up every morning without the fear of seeing messages in the mirror, and I felt more at ease. However, my peace was fragile and questions persisted. Why had I been chosen as the intermediary for those spirits? And how could I ensure that they wouldn't return? One night, while washing my face in the bathroom, I noticed movement in the mirror. I froze in place, my eyes fixed on my reflection. The mirror seemed to blur, and within it, I saw shadows moving, taking shape beyond the steamed glass. Shivers ran down my entire body, and my eyes were locked onto that cursed mirror. With each passing moment, the shadows became more distinct. I tried to communicate with them, to beg them to leave, but no sound came from my mouth. Instead of words, I was overwhelmed by a sensation of telepathic communication as the spirits reached out to me. They showed me images of tragedies and sufferings, memories from the house's past, and the message was clear. They hadn't truly left, and they still bound me to the dark past. I understood that I had to do something to help them and regain my freedom. The spirits led me to an old, cramped cellar, a place I hadn't visited since I moved into the house. With a candle in hand and trembling with fear, I descended into the dark depths of the cellar, following the spirits. There I discovered an object hidden beneath the aged floor, a wooden box. The spirits showed me that this box was the key to their release. With a clenched heart, I opened the box and found a series of old objects, memories, and documents belonging to the family that had lived in the house in the past. The spirits told me that these were their link to this world, and that I should destroy them to set them free. I took each object and tossed it into the fire burning in the cellar, watching them turn to ashes. With each object destroyed, the spirits seemed to gradually fade, becoming more distant and less threatening. Finally, when the last item had turned to ash, the spirits vanished into the darkness. At last, I felt a relief I hadn't experienced in a long time. The bathroom mirror remained clear, free from frightening messages, and my house seemed to have been freed from the spirits that had haunted it. However, I knew I had to remain vigilant, as the connection to the dark past could never be completely erased. I only hoped that the spirits had finally found the peace they needed and wouldn't return to haunt me again. With time, my house returned to being a place of peace and normality. The messages in the bathroom mirror seemed to have become distant memories, and the memory of the terror I had endured gradually faded. I began to consult various books and resources about exorcism and protection rituals, trying to learn how to keep the spirits away and ensure they wouldn't return. For a while, these measures seemed to work, and my house remained quiet. However, on a dark winter night, I was abruptly awakened by a strange sound. It was as if someone had lightly tapped on the window pane. I got out of bed and went to the window, waiting to see what had caused the noise. As I gazed into the darkness outside, I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. A vague silhouette was forming on the window, with hands reaching out toward me. Horrified, I recognized the shadow as that of my deceased wife, the one who had died in that tragic car accident. Please help me, I'm trapped between worlds. Understand that I didn't mean to frighten you. You must set me free. With tears in my eyes and my soul crushed with compassion for my wife, I knew I had to free her from this fearful link between the worlds. With each step into the spirit world, the dark shadows multiplied, and the threats grew in intensity. Unknown forces seemed to haunt us in every corner of that dark world, and suspicion and paranoia crept into my heart. Finally, I arrived at an unnaturally bleak place where time and space seemed to have no meaning. My wife was trembling with fear, and her face was filled with anguish. "Don't go on," she warned me. "This world is not for humans. There are scary things here, too scary for your imagination." But I refused to stop. Desperately and determinedly, we continued our search, ignoring the warnings and ignoring the growing sense that we were being watched by evil, inhuman entities whose existence was inconceivable to the human mind. As we neared the end of our fearful journey, we discovered a bleak and dark place devoid of any trace of light or hope. In that retreat, something so terrifying awaited us that it did not seem to take place in our world or the spirit realm. The memory of that nightmarish moment haunts me every night. From those dark, bottomless depths, an evil and sinister force engulfed us, enveloping us in a maelstrom of despair and terror. And thus ended my sinister journey, my soul seeming to fade into darkness, and our world turned into eternal night. There was no escape, and the terror and suffering remained endless, like a curse that had no end.